right? I analyzed that. I said I am very practical. I believe in practice. Practice. I believe in walking your talk more than talking. So I'm describing COVID as related to relationship based on the advantages that we have in COVID time. What have you made of it? Have you been able to talk? Have you been able to relate meaningfully? So, um, all said, folks say to me that communication is the number one thing in relationships. And truly so. I think I agree with them. They look at everything because they say communication is the mode of passing across what is in your mind, what's in your thought. That's why I wish I'm like Christ several times. I wish Jesus could just bless me with the kind of, 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 of spirit that he operated, but he was God. Christ can look at you eyeball to eyeball and tell you what is in your mind, what's in your intention. Nobody else can do that. I wish I could do that. If I can do that, I will be a better husband. At, I've been married for 31 years. I'm still struggling. I'm still struggling to understand my top woman. I'm still struggling to decode my wife. I'm still struggling. There are times she will do some behavior in 31 years. I'm helpless. I'm just looking at her. I'm just looking at her until she tells me her intention. The only thing that I've learned now is more patience. So, but to some extent, from my experience at counseling, over 2 to 3 decades of counseling ministries, I'm not going to dispute the statement that communication is the number one thing in relationships, in marriage relationships. But I will carefully say, to my mind, by my experience as a counselor or as a mediator, as a life coach, conference speaker over and over and over, I think understanding is the main issue. I think understanding is the main issue. Yes, communication is the vehicle through which we pass across our intention, but when you buttress, when you clothe communication with understanding, you are more effective. Proverbs 24, verse 3. Proverbs 24, verse 3. By wisdom, a house is built, and by understanding, it is established. Anybody that has sat under my ministration anywhere in the world knows that this is my favorite scripture when I'm speaking. It's relevant to every aspect of relationship. Wisdom builds, understanding establishes. Wisdom builds, understanding establishes. Whatever wisdom builds, for it to be established, for it to be enjoyed, it is understanding. Miles Monroe wrote 2 books, Understanding the Purpose and the Power of Man. And then he wrote another one, Understanding the Purpose and the Power of a Woman. Understanding is beautiful. Now, I'm not going to change the topic. Please bear with me. I'm talking about communication. But I am saying that if you clothe communication with understanding, you will do better. Proverbs chapter 16, verse 22. Proverbs 16:22 says, understanding is a wellspring of life to him who has it. Understanding is a wellspring of life to him who has it. So, understanding is very powerful. When you understand the different temperaments of your spouse, when you understand their likes, when you understand their dislikes, when you understand what irritates your husband or what irritates your wife, what excites your spouse, when you understand what turns your spouse on, when you understand their love language, you can communicate. You can communicate. Communication becomes effective. And then you can apply whatever principle you want into your relationship. Understanding is very important in communication. So I am linking communication with understanding, because I am listening to you. Sometimes I'm listening, but I don't understand you. It's not that I'm deaf. Top woman has been speaking to me all day, all week, all month. She has been saying the same thing. Bro, I don't get what this lady is saying. I don't get it. And she kept saying, I've been telling you, honey, I don't understand. My head is hard. Can you break it down for me? If I understand you, I will run. Habakkuk chapter 3, verse 3, write the vision and make it plain. If it is plain, he that readeth it will run. It's not that you are not communicating with him, but he does not understand. He doesn't. I don't understand what moves a woman. I don't understand what women mean when they are saying this. I don't understand what men are saying when they are saying this, when they are moaning, when they are making this move. I don't understand. So, because communication is big, communication is huge, guys. Communication is not just talking. It's not just talking. It's not just talking. If it is just talking, what happens to the deaf and the dumb? Don't they communicate? They communicate, and the people that relate with them, they relate with understanding. They understand their personality. They understand that they are different. Now, I came to understand that my wife, my dear wife, is a type A personality. Type A personalities are dangerous people. They can drive you crazy. They want something done. They want it done now. In fact, they want it done yesterday. And I'm still thinking over what you have said. She's wondering why I'm not moving yet. So when I come to understand her, I come to understand when she's asking, Oni, have you done it? Now I understand what she's saying. She's saying, she is saying yes. She's talking, she is communicating. But unless I understand that, I cannot run with it. I cannot. So I'm talking about how communication can be effective in our marriages. Because I'm talking out, when you give me the topic, I had to go and think. Do I just want to go and download communication? I can Google communication and be reading what communication is. We are talking about how communication makes relationships effective between couples. I was talking about COVID-19 lockdown for 4 months. Do you know there were couples that never understood each other? They couldn't relate. So instead of that milieu bringing them together, it separated them. Some people, COVID brought them closer. Some people, COVID separated them because they realized, look, rather than, because I couldn't understand this man, because I couldn't understand this woman, I am irritated. And irritation leads to isolation. And you begin to isolate each other. You begin to move away from each other, because the more you are closer to each other, instead of understanding each other, you begin to move away from each other. So it's a very crucial area of communication to have the spirit of understanding. Let me read to you this story, communication or miscommunication. I read a story about a regional airport in the Midwest that was temporarily shut down due to a severe winter snowstorm. Planes were forced to circle for hours as crewmen cleared snow accumulations on the ground. So, and the planes were circling, and crewmen were clearing snow accumulations on the ground. Suddenly, from the tower, the crewmen heard an announcement. The loudspeaker blasting, "This is an emergency. Clear the runway. This is an emergency. Clear the runway." Frantically, workers flooded onto the runway with every man and machine they could find, clearing the snow as fast as possible. Unfortunately, they found out too late. that Flight 476 from San Diego was out of fuel and just seconds from an emergency landing. The message from the tower was to clear the runway of people, not snow. The message was to clear the runway of people, not snow. The plane landed on everybody and crushed everybody. The message sent was not the message received. The message sent was not the message received. If it was the message received, there was no understanding. They didn't understand that what the pilot was saying is, please let everybody on the runway move. I'm going to land regardless. The people thought it was saying, go clear the snow. The manager, the general manager, everybody got on the runway to clear snow. He didn't ask them to clear snow. He asked the people to leave the place. They didn't have understanding, but it was too late. It was too late. Did he talk? Yes, he talked. He passed the message across, but there was no understanding. There was no understanding. So, in this online generation, this is an online, a social media generation. We are on social media now. This is part of the lesson, part of the blessing of COVID. We never figured that I could be in Memphis, Tennessee, and be hosting a conference for Jubilee live. This forum, this opportunity was available. It was available, but none of us thought about it. We were always thinking about when to invite Top Man and bring him and fly him to Atlanta and lodge him and bring him live to church. Here we are, face to face. I'm speaking here, and myriads of people. In fact, by the publicity, by the publication of this program, some folks may be online with us now from Nigeria at this same hour. Some folks from London may be online with us now, may be participating from Canada, from Switzerland, may be participating as we are talking. This is a social media world now, and so we are all reduced to it. I was listening on NPR the other day to what they were saying about the Gen Z, the Generation Z, who communicate on TikTok. And I never knew anything about TikTok until Donald Trump went to ban TikTok. In fact, I'm too overwhelmed by the social media issue. I'm an old school fellow. WhatsApp, Facebook, email, texting is enough for me. So much Instagram, Snapchat. In fact, so much it's all over the place now. It's out there, and I know the younger generation listening to me are laughing. They're looking at this old school guy, But I'm saying all this to say that the younger generation now live online. It's a social media world, and let me begin to throw in my point one by one. I want to make a very important note that any form of social media can never communicate intention and emotion effectively. Any form of social media can never communicate intention and emotion effectively. Think about any of them. Any. Even as I'm talking to you now, even though you are looking at me, you are not seeing me live. Bring some little deficiency to this program, to this communication that is taking place now, because sometimes you need to sit in front of somebody to see how they are moving, to see how they are making their moves, and to understand them. So in our social media world, don't depend all your communication with your spouse on social media alone, because it doesn't. Even our local languages, my local language, Yoruba, you might bring one word in Yoruba and it will mean 6 things. is a tonal language. If you do not put tone, my name, Ojo, if you do not put tone on my name, if you just write OJO, OJO can mean three, four, five things. If you write it down, it can mean Ojo, my name. It can mean Ojo, rain. It can mean Ojo, what is that? Somebody who's fearful. I'm just trying to play with these things. So if I wrote and I forgot to put tonal language, a tone on what I've written, you cannot really effectively understand what I'm saying. So that's why when I go to do mediation, if chances are permitted, if I want to do mediation between couples who are having serious issues and they need mediation, I always say, let us sit down face to face, if we can. Do you know what some research found out recently, not too long ago? They found out that our aged parents, they related better than us, than our generation. Our old parents that didn't have internet, that were not on social media, they found out that when they compared their generation, the generation of the parents of baby boomers, to us baby boomers, to the millennials, to the generation Z, to whatever generation now, after the baby boomers, they found out that the parents of the baby boomers, they related better than us. Their relationship was more solid. Their relationship was more effective because it was interpersonal. It was face-to-face relationship. What have you had most of the time? When you go to restaurants now with your family to eat, a family of 6 sit on the table, and they want to order. Everybody is looking at their phone. Everybody is looking at their phone. They are looking at, and the steward is standing. Are you guys ready to order now? Nobody is talking because everybody is on the phone. And then until after a while, somebody will say, okay, yes, I'm ready. And then once they finish ordering, everybody, in a generation where the cell phone was not available, we talk face to face. My old mom will leave Ekiti and come to Lagos unannounced and knock on my door. At 7 p.m., somebody will say, Mama is here. I will say, which mama? Your mom. My mom is here. And then we will start, you are welcome. She will say, babe, since I'm not hearing from you people, I decided to come and check on you. Yeah, those who are dangerous, but it has its downs, but they related face to face. They related physically. And so relationship online, relationship on social media is not it's not the best way. I'm not saying don't use it. I'm just giving you when you are relating, especially when you are dealing with issues with your spouse. The reason I say that is that effective communication takes place. Communication becomes more effective when we are in time of peace. Communication becomes harder during the time of war. When we are having conflicts, communication becomes harder. See, when we are not fighting, we can talk and I can let it pass. I can let something pass. It's okay. I didn't understand you. I didn't hear what you said. I will ask again. But when we are fighting, when couples are in war, communication becomes harder. You are careful, aren't you? You are walking on eggshells. You want to say something, you are careful. I don't know how my husband will read it. I don't know how my wife. The Bible says that there is no fear in love. Where there is perfect love casts out fear. When there is war, there is fear. And when there is fear, you are careful. I don't want to say this so that they will not say I said that. You are being, but where everything is in order, you can say and feel free. So take note of that. Now, also, we should note that men communicate shoulder to shoulder. Shoulder to shoulder. Women communicate face to face. Women communicate relationally. There are differences between the way we communicate. I'm bringing communication to bear on couple relationships. So I'm not going the conventional way. Thank God the brother that introduced me, the man of God, said, my distinction is my unconventional way. So I'm notorious for that already. Don't expect me that I'm going to give you point one, point two. I've not been doing that. And so, but I guess, and I'm believing by the Spirit of God that I'm passing something across to both of you who are listening to me as couples at this hour. Men communicate shoulder to shoulder. Women communicate face to face. Women communicate relationally. Men pass messages across as quick as we can, like reporters. Let's look at a little communication differences between male and female. According to experts, they say that men are competitive in communication, whereas women are cooperative. Women are cooperative. Men are exclusive. Their communication is limited. Women are inclusive. Their communication is comprehensive. It's all inclusive. Everything connects with the other. Everything connects with the other. And this is how God wired us. God wired us separate, differently. It's not our fault. It's not my fault that I don't talk much. It's not my wife's fault that she talks much. It's not a woman's fault that she talks much. God wired every average woman to be a talker. Women talk to clear their mind. Women talk to connect. Sometimes men don't even talk. We connect. we don't need to talk to connect sometimes. Just a wink of the eye, just a high five. We have connected. But women have to take their time. Those are the differences. I'm looking at the differences, and I want you to understand that these differences are God-made differences. Men are fact-oriented. Women, even though it's not that they are not fact-oriented, they are feelings-oriented. More feeling. What you have said made me feel like this. If I was at the airport, I've made this example, and a stranger came unto me and look at me and say, "You are an idiot." I'll say, "Oh, really? I'm an idiot?" She said, "You're an idiot." And he walks away. As a man, he may not linger with me. If somebody goes to a woman, a stranger, and talks and tells a woman at the airport and say, "You are an idiot," or "You are ugly," and he disappears, that thought is going to remain with that woman for weeks, for months. She will keep meditating over it. She will get home and say, "Honey, look what happened to me. A stranger came and looked face to face and said, I am ugly. What is ugly about me?" She will be ruminating over it because that's how God wired her. Until her husband kept, the only way God husband can make, "Honey, you are the most beautiful." But why did that? For a man, because that fellow said that to me, is a stranger, it means nothing. It's probably an idiot himself. That's all. So for women, for men, communication is information based. For women, it is relational based. It's relational based. A woman can go to a restroom and come out with a stranger. They have become friends. Restroom, they just connected there. Men, I don't connect in the restroom. I just pee and I'm out. But women can meet friends and relate. They can go to the store at the checkout counter. They make friends. Men listen for points in communication. Women listen for details. Women are detail oriented. I've shared this in your church before. If you ask your husband, "How was work?" How does he answer? A typical man, "Fine." If you make a mistake and ask your wife, "How was work today?" you have started trouble, because your wife will tell you 5 stories to arrive at how was work today. She's going to tell you 5 stories. She's going to say, "Honey, you remember that lady that sits beside my cubicle? Oh, she brought trouble today. When she started, the whole place was shaking. Actually, it started in the morning. See, when I was going to work in the morning, as I was driving, one guy just came in front of me. And so the mood that I was in, she's telling two stories already. And the man is waiting like, what happened? What happened? What happened? What happened after work? He wants the end result. He wants to hear. But age has taught me and must have taught you. Our pastors are bearing me witness. The aged that are online with us are bearing me witness. If you have learned that you keep quiet when a woman is telling stories, you don't interrupt, you don't tell what happened, tell me what is the end, just be a listener. Because one of the best communicators is a listener. One of the best communicators, that's what qualifies me. Ask Pastor Chibodu. That's what qualifies us to be marriage counselors, to be mediators. There are times I am mediating and I am listening, and one person is talking for about 45 minutes, non-stop. And all I'm doing is listening, or at best taking notes, not interrupting them. Some people are looking for somebody to just listen to them, not to fix them. Then communication is taking place. So for men, they need time to process thoughts. They need time to process thoughts in communication. For women want you, especially depending on the personality. I told you about the personality of my wife, a type A personality. My wife wants something done, and she tells you she wants it done. And my typical self, Nigerian baby boomer, I'm coming. And she's fuming already. When are you going to come? I want you to do something. My wife wanted to get at it immediately. With understanding, I've come to understand the temperament of my spouse, that the way communication, the way our relationship can work is when she communicates, I must read, I must be able to understand the spirit of what she's saying. There's a spirit behind what she's saying. I've been speaking for 32 minutes. I think I'm told I have 45 minutes. Okay. So communication statistics, let's look at a few statistics. Communication experts tell us that 55% of effective conversations is nonverbal. It's mostly body language. So that's why I told you earlier that the internet, the social media is not, it is the best alternative that we have, but it's not the best. As you are looking at me online, as you are looking at me via video, via Zoom, via whatever, you are not seeing my whole self now. The stuff is moving, is showing you my face, is not my real. It's different from when I'm standing in front of you. That's why they said that the generation of our older parents, our parents communicated, they related better than us, because the greatest distractors of this generation is the social media. The greatest distractors of this generation is social media. And that's the social media is the culprit of all that is afflicting our generation. If you take that out, you bring relationship to primitive levels, and it becomes original, and we are able to. That's why we need a mixture. That's what I advocate. I'm not saying we should go back to primitive times, but we need a mixture. We need a mixture of the old and the new, so that life can become meaningful. So communication experts tell us 55% of effective conversation is nonverbal. It's mostly body language. What you are doing is not letting me hear what you are saying. What you are doing is not letting me hear what you are saying. 38% of effective conversation is tonal. 38% of effective conversation is tonal, not what is said, but how it is said. That's why I gave you an illustration of my name, Ojo. you can write it down, is tonal. Now, how do you put tone on English language? I ask you a question. How is your husband treating you? Treating you well? Yes? You say yes. You write yes. That yes, if I was sitting in front of you, you could say yes, and I will know that there is hesitation in that yes. And I will say, I will know that it's because you did not want to offend your husband. That's why you said yes. Your yes, your body language is saying no. But I can't read that through social media. 7% of effective conversation has to do with the exact word spoken. So what we elevate most as number one in our mind, that communication is conversation, is talking, is they said it's only 7%. The spoken word is only 7%. And you must remember that words change over time. The meaning of words change over time, over time. So that's some statistics right there for us. I wanted to pass that across to us quickly. So before I go to round up, in relating with each other, we need the Spirit of God to bring us to maturity. We need the Spirit of God to bring us to maturity. That's why I said one of the best communicator is a listener. When you become mature, when I was a baby, like Paul said in 1 Corinthians 13, I thought like a child, I behaved like a child. I'm going to speak a little more of this tomorrow by the grace of God. But when I became an adult, I put away childish things. What is maturity? What does maturity teach you? Maturity, when I was newly married, I couldn't bear many things. I couldn't understand many things. I was so intolerant. I mean, top woman, what do you need? Tell me what you need, and let's move on. But do you know that in a week's time, by the grace of God, on Father's Day next week, I'm turning 60. Do you know that at age 60, having been married for 31 years, I'm now more patient. I'm now more tolerant. The fruit of the Spirit is effective, more effective in my life. So I can enjoy my wife. My wife can enjoy me more, because she wants to pull me along, and now she can see that I'm understanding, not perfectly yet. I don't know when I will understand that perfectly. I don't know. Maybe somebody in this forum will help me, but I'm still working on it. So I have a few more minutes to go. Be honest. Keeping secrets does nothing but frustrate you and perplex your spouse. In communication, be honest, be open. Perfect love casts out fear. Perfect love casts out fear. One of the maturity points that I recommend for couple, one of the tests of maturity is that you must ask yourself, and your spouse ask themselves, have I reached a point in my marriage that I am now free, that I'm not afraid to say what I have in my mind to my spouse? When one of the major point for maturity is in relationship is what I've just said to you, especially majority of African marriages, Nigerian marriages, because we are under serious cultural oppressions. We are under serious cultural backgrounds and foundations that says, you don't talk to like that. You don't talk to like that. Yeah. I'm not saying be disrespectful, but where there is love, there is no secrecy. There is no fear at all. Bring up issues within 24 hours or forget it. I don't agree with that, forget it. Because there are temperaments are different, schedules are different, challenges are different. That's why we would think about that some other day. Thank God I have other able pastors better than me on the platform, but about this some other day. One of the questions is the do not let the sun go down on your anger, and people translate that to mean that you must resolve every issue before you go to bed every night. How practicable is that? It's one issue that I've toyed with and I've discussed with people. Do keep to the issue when you are discussing. Keep to the issue. If you start discussing who should babysit and end up arguing over discipline or sex, you've moved off track. Take a break and return to the issue when you are both rational and calm. When you are both rational and calm. Yes, moderator, I'm looking at you. I will stop at exactly 45 minutes. I'm very time conscious. I've spoken for 41 minutes now. I will stop at the dot of time. Don't criticize. You can complain of something specific to the situation. So, but criticism can involve blame. Don't criticize. Don't make threats in your conversations with each other. If you say this, I will, then you are threatening. You are threatening your spouse. If you say that again, if you do that, you are threatening. No, you don't. I learned something from Pastor Mike Adebiyi. You do not force an adult to comply. You cannot force an adult to comply. Don't play the blame game. Don't make assumptions. Don't be a mind reader. Don't expect your spouse to be a mind reader either. Don't tell your spouse, second guess them, I know what you are thinking. You don't know what I'm thinking. In fact, the day you tell me you know what I'm thinking, I will change it. I will tell you that's not what I'm thinking. So, and I want you to check it, to go back into my mind and check which one is right. Don't second guess. Don't walk by assumption. And do not use the D word, divorce. Don't threaten yourself. So I've said a couple of things. Practice starting your statement with I word. I think this is what I heard you saying. I think this is what you said, rather than starting your statement with you. When you start your statement with I, you own your. For example, I felt on it, I was better than saying, you made me worried, or you always come late. When you start using I, you own your emotion. When you start the statement with you
Did we lose Pastor Topman?
Yes, I believe so. It's coming back on. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next speaker, and that would be Pastor Ben Oshibodu. Pastor Ben Oshibodu is an entrepreneur and a serving pastor at Jubilee Christian Church International House of Glory, located in Stone Mountain, Georgia. He is the co-founder with his wife of Life Changers and Marriage Changers Institute and Ministry. Pastor Ben has a passion for marriages and has dedicated himself to helping married and engaged couples experience healthy, deeply satisfying, and godly relationships through mentorship, education, expert advice, marriage counseling, premarital sessions, and spiritual tools. Pastor Ben is a certified marriage facilitator with Family Dynamics Institute and a certified Christian counselor by the American Association of Christian Counselors. He is happily married to his lovely wife of 22 years, Minister Nicole Oshibodu. Pastor Ben, over to you, sir.
Praise the Lord.
Hallelujah.
Well, I want to thank Pastor Tope Ojo for those insights that he gave us. That was fantastic, was beautiful. I consider Pastor Tope Ojo a friend of mine. I actually saw him in Nigeria recently, where he was ministering at the church in Ibadan, and I went to attend that meeting, and we had a good time together. Thank you so much, Pastor Tope Ojo. I don't know if he's still on the line or not, but we really appreciate you, sir. You know, one of the backbones of couples is having effective communication. And so the team is really right on time. Thank God for Pastor Tope for those pointers that he gave us, you know, because communication is very, 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 very important to every marriage. You know, it helps you to know and understand each other. It helps you to work as a team. It helps you to support each other, to resolve issues, you know, for you people to be able to grow together spiritually, to be able to nurture your children, and a host of other things that make communication great, you know, because everything you do and you do not do communicates something. Everything you do communicates something. Even your being quiet communicates something. So one has to be conscious, what are you communicating? You see, for me personally, Pastor Tope Ojo was saying when he first got married, there was a lot of things that he used to get a lot angrier with his wife and all of that, and now he has a lot more patience. You know, my personal opinion is that as Christians, communication problem is also a character problem. That's the same thing that happened to me in the initial stages of our marriage. Me and my wife, I mean, I won't say me and my wife used to fight a lot, but I used to fight a lot. I used to get angry all the time. But my wife was capable of being calm, you know, so I can start making noise and shouting and screaming, and she would just be calm. And that tamed me. That changed me. I think I've shared that many, many times in church, you know, for those who have ever listened to me speak, that my wife's attitude changed me. It allowed the communication to be able to flow better, because if she had been responding with corresponding anger, chances are we may not even be married today. I'm going to read Galatians. When I say communication problem is a character problem, if I'm going to read Galatians chapter 5, 22, 23, which we all know, but the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, kindness, goodness, faithfulness. We know all of those fruits of the Spirit. But the thing about fruit is that without a seed, a fruit is not going to show up. If you see any fruit, it's because a seed was planted. So when they say the fruit of the Spirit is love, the fruit of the Spirit of love cannot grow in your heart if you never planted the seed of love, if you never planted the seed of joy, if you never planted the seed of peace, if you never planted the seed of long suffering, the fruit of that Spirit cannot evolve in your life. So that's why I believe that communication problem is a character problem. If you have the character of Christ and you have the fruit of the Spirit, when I used to respond in a harsh way to my wife, you know, when I used to fight back, I mean, I was just a pure thug, for lack of a better word. You know, I was not gentle. But one of the fruit of the Spirit is gentleness. So when we don't have that, and we say we are Christian, we are leaders, we are pastors, and we are all of that, we can boast of all of those things that we are. But the fruit of the Spirit does not reflect in the way we communicate. If you're going to go and read that fruit of the Spirit, how do you communicate with each other? Because some people will say, oh, you have never listened to my wife, you have never listened to my husband, you should hear how he talks, you should hear how this person does. The bottom line is, if you allow the fruit of the Spirit to flow in your life, it will influence your partner. And I can understand you're married to a thug. He's terrible. She's terrible. She runs her mouth. She's angry all the time. They got all these emotions that you complain about. But the bottom line is that you can fix your partner by your own attitude. I'm a very believer in that. And I've seen, my wife and I, we have counseled people that will say, actually not people, everybody that ever comes for counseling, they always point to their partner. Fix him, fix her. But most of the time, you need to fix yourself. The problem is almost never your partner. The problem is going to be with you. You fix you, your partner will automatically get fixed. So if both partners are willing to fix themselves, when two people are having communication problems and they decide that I'm going to fix myself and my husband, I'm not going to say my husband must fix himself. I am just going to fix myself. I'm going to live as someone who has the fruit of the Spirit in them. I have the love, I have the joy, I have the peace, and I have the long suffering, I have kindness, I have goodness, I have faithfulness, I have gentleness, I have all of that in me. So it becomes easier to respond to your spouse when you have all of that in you. But many times we don't. You see, until you are able to diagnose a problem, you can't solve it. If you go to a doctor, the first thing is for them to run tests. What is wrong? You know, when they find out what is wrong, then they know how to treat you. But many times in our marriages, we don't try to find out what is wrong. Most of the time, what is wrong is us. Most of the times, what is wrong with is us. Even if something is wrong with your partner, how you are responding to them in that communication is what is causing the communication problem. I had an incident at my place of work yesterday. One of my guys was telling the driver, he was standing in front of a car and he's telling the guy, come on. The guy kept coming until the guy touched him. Then my guy got angry, like, don't you see me? And they were getting at it. They had to come and call me from the office, and I came out and said, okay, what is going on? I mean, the guy hit me and blah, 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 blah. I had to call my guy and say, listen, the car was driving towards you. And you stood there defiantly saying, oh, he dare not touch me. And the guy is like, okay, he's going to get out of the way. Both of them want to have their way. That's pretty much the primary problem that a lot of couples always have. They're both wrong. The guy that kept driving could have stopped, and the guy that was standing in front of the car could have moved. I mean, either one could have solved that problem. If the guy that was standing in front of the car had moved, there would not be a problem. If the guy that was driving the car had stopped, there would not have been a problem. And that's exactly what happens with couples. It takes one person to get out of the way, and the problem will not exist. It takes one person to get out of the way. You know, there's something in 2 Timothy chapter 3, verses 2 to 4 that I'm going to use to emphasize again that I said communication problem is a character problem. It said people, in verse 2, said people will be lovers of themselves. They will be lovers of themselves. We love ourselves so much that we don't think anything is wrong with us. We think my partner needs to be fixed. Please, somebody needs to talk to this woman. Somebody needs to talk to this man. Somebody needs to fix this person because they are broken. Have you ever considered that you are also broken? That's why we're having this communication problem. We have two broken people trying to have a conversation with each other, and neither one is hearing the other. Neither one is hearing the other. They are just screaming, shouting, doing all kinds of gymnastics with each other, and they can't hear each other. Actually, I'm going to read that 2 Timothy verse 3 from 2 to 4 all the way. So people will be lovers of themselves, lovers of money, boastful, proud, abusive, disobedient to their parents, ungrateful, unholy, without love, unforgiving, slanderous, without self-control, brutal, not lovers of good, treacherous, rash, conceited, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God. That's what we are. That's what's causing communication problem. When you love yourself so much, when you love money so much, when you are so proud, you are so abusive, you are so ungrateful, you are so unholy, you are so unforgiving. And when we have a human being that has those characteristics, it's very difficult to communicate with that individual. So I'm just imploring people, fix yourself and your partner will fix themselves. Trust me, communication problems will disappear. It will disappear. I had a lady that was giving testimony. We had counseled them as a couple. And she said there was something that her husband used to do that was driving her crazy. And she will come in. She has spoken to him many times. She has complained many times. And I said to him that, I said to her, you have complained about this same thing for so long. There's got to be a point where you say, you know what? I'm going to leave it alone so I can have peace with my spouse. Maybe the way you are coming at this guy is making him even more, stubborn about what you are saying. Then she said she decided not to say anything anymore. She wouldn't say anything anymore. This thing still drove her crazy, but she wouldn't say anything to him. And after not saying anything to him a couple of times, he changed. He will go, and as soon as he comes in, he said the guy used to leave all the lights on or leave the blinds up or whatever he used to do. And whenever he does that and she comes home and she doesn't say anything, her silence was enough to get him to go and do what she wanted him to do. He would just go and do it. Oh, this woman didn't say anything. But before, when she used to say anything, all you can think of, just keep making your noise. I'm not getting up. Fix yourself, your partner will get fixed. Ephesians chapter 4 verses 1 and 2. That's one of my favorite scriptures when I see people just going at each other with words, battling each other. But pretty much when we're talking about communication problem, it's about issues that you are, if you don't complain about every issue that you see, you will discover that your communication problem will improve. Because if somebody feels that you are always coming at me, they are not receptive to even hear what you got to say. They're not receptive. Excuse me. Ephesians chapter 4 verse 1 says, what causes fight and quarrels among you? Don't they come from the desires that battle within you? What is it that causes? The desires within you is what causes those problems. If you will decide that my partner is more important to me, it's not about my desires, it's about my desires of my partner, you will discover that your communication problem will begin to subside and it will go away. And verse 2 says, you desire but you do not have, so you kill. You covet but you do not get what you want. Whenever you don't get what you want, you rather kill the marriage so you can get what you want. I don't know if it makes sense to anybody. You want to argue, you say, oh, you have said the same thing over and over, because when somebody keeps nagging and talking about different things, and every day, this morning is one issue, this afternoon is one issue, you cannot have effective communication with anyone that every time, if I put paper down, you will talk. If I put plastic bottle down, you will talk. The person, you cannot have effective communication with a person that you complain about everything to. If you pick those things that you think are so important to discuss, you will see that the person is more likely to be more open to you than everything we must discuss. But personally, I believe there's a master key that unlocks effective communication. That master key is forgiveness. I mean, we all ask God for forgiveness all the time, and we expect God to forgive us. But we are very unforgiving. Our spouse will do something, we cannot forgive them. Because if communication problems would die a natural death if you live a spirit of forgiveness. And I tell people, I don't remember the last time I've been angry with my wife or my wife is angry with me. Well, I mean, of course, we disagree. We disagree about a lot of things. We disagree morning, afternoon, night. We disagree all the time. But I'm usually not angry. I'm not coming at her, or she's coming at me. And constantly, there are things I do that drive my wife nuts. She will not say anything. She'll just be looking at me. One day she will say, you know, this same thing. Thank God you married me, honestly, because I don't know who else will tolerate this kind of things that you are doing. Sometimes I will say, the Lord will continue to help you, woman of God. So what do you mean? So the Lord will continue to help me. I said, you should stop something. You are telling me the Lord will help me. And we ended there. She's forgiving me what I've done. And the same thing that I do with her. But many times we hold, when we've counseled a whole lot of people. And most of the time, when they tell their story, it's not different from our story. What is happening in their house is happening in my house. What she's complaining that her husband does is exactly what I do to my wife. What he's complaining about his wife does, my wife does the same thing to me. And we have peace. We didn't always have peace. That's why I said the issue of communication is usually a character issue. If you change your character, your communication problem will also change. Your communication problem is going to change. That's why today I want us to talk about barriers against effective communication. There are some things that just doesn't allow you to communicate well. I think the man of God mentioned one of them is lying. You know, just if your spouse does something, you have to, or say something, you have to weigh their words. Say, is he lying? Is she lying? You know? Another one is not listening. The man of God also touched on that. You don't listen well. You have the patience to listen to what the person is saying, decoding exactly what the person is saying. Interrupting. Man of God also said that. When somebody is talking, instead of listening to them, you want to interrupt. You shouldn't take. Another one is taking things personally. When we are talking about, you know, let's say my wife say, "Why did you put cup here? You know, you dirty the house. It's not nice." And I take it personal as if it's an attack of me. Instead of recognizing that I've done something wrong, she's bringing it to my attention. I should recognize what she has just said and deal with it rather than looking at it, I mean, taking it personal, and then we start fighting. And also assuming. Many times we make assumptions. There was a story I was reading a few days ago, maybe just 2 days ago. I was telling my wife that story this morning. And I'll tell that story quickly. This guy was working at a factory, and he will put a sawdust in a box and put it in a wheelbarrow and roll it out of the factory. The security will stop him and say, "What do you have in the box?" He will open the box, it's sawdust. So he will go. The next day, he came with wheelbarrow again. The security stopped him. "What do you have in the wheelbarrow? What do you have in there?" He said it's sawdust again. So this guy kept bringing sawdust for 4 or 5 days, and the security had to ask him, say, "Listen, I know you are stealing something, because you can't be taking sawdust home every day the way you are doing. I will not tell anybody what you are doing. Just tell me exactly what have you been stealing." The guy said, "I've been stealing wheelbarrow." The focus of the security guy was the box, whereas the wheelbarrow was exactly what the guy was stealing, the one that was right in their face. The security guy made an assumption that what this guy is stealing is in the box. And they opened the box, it's not what the guy is stealing. So every day the guy was taking one wheelbarrow home. And that's what happens to a lot of us in our relationship. We don't look at things holistically. We focus one way, we are seeing it that way, we are sure that the security guy was sure the security concern was supposed to be about what's in the box. This guy got a box, it's covered, I need to see what's in the box. That was his security concern. And that's what happens to us a lot in our marriages. We focus on one thing. We are so sure that is the problem. We fight, we bicker about it, that is the problem, whereas that is not exactly the problem. We made an assumption that that's the problem. Another thing is name calling. You are having an argument. You are calling each other names. You cannot effectively communicate with a person that you just called an idiot. Where do you think that conversation is going to end? I was in a training class recently, and our instructor were talking. I just mentioned to her that me and my wife will do marriage. I said, maybe we and my husband, we need to see you, because many times my husband does things, and I have to tell him, that just doesn't make any sense. Okay, now, so I have to tell her, I say, you think your husband is the only problem? I mean, hear what you just said. You just insulted the guy. How do you think that your communication is going to go after you're just telling the person what they're doing, what they're saying don't make no sense? And you're saying it, I mean, even the way she said it in front of me with the attitude, the body language that she said it to me, she wasn't even angry with me. If I were her husband, I would have gotten irritated just listening to her. And at that point, she wasn't even angry. Imagine what her body language would have conveyed at the point where she was angry. And she wasn't angry. And she conveyed that. Another thing that people do is over-explaining. You will explain. I'm guilty of that. My wife will say, do you think that if you repeat things 10 times, I will hear it differently? You have said it, and that's enough. But many times I will be explaining, because when I'm telling my wife something that I'm not pleased about, she'll just sit down there and listen. She will not say a word. I want her to be able to say, oh, okay, I understand you. So you mean that this one. She will not say anything. So I don't even know if she understands me or she doesn't understand me. So me, I will just be going and hammering until she said, that's enough. I've heard you. How many times you say the same thing? And I'm guilty of that. And many times we are guilty of that because the person we are talking to, we're not even sure they understand. And that's what happens. Sometimes our spouse is talking to us, instead of for us to say, okay, honey, I understand you. This is exactly what you mean. The conversation would end because now they know that you understand what they're saying. Another one is we're talking about poor communication habits. Bringing up the past. Many couples are guilty of that. You remember 3 years ago, this happened. You remember 4 years ago, this happened. You remember, and some people can even cry. I can never forget when we went to your sister's house, the way you talked to me that day. And that was 5 years ago. And it will come up over and over and over and over. Those things don't allow for good communication. And the worst of all is angry outburst. Anger is destructive. Anger is unhealthy. Numbers 14:18 said, the Lord is slow to anger. If the Lord is slow to anger, there's a reason for that. We have to be slow to anger if we want peace in our home. You have to be slow to get angry. But we are quick to get angry. So because of that, I think actually somebody was, I was talking to some people earlier on Monday morning, and somebody was asking me, how do you deal with a spouse that is always angry? And that's pretty much the crux of most communication problem. Most people say, my spouse is always angry. And both sides they feel that way. My husband is very angry. My wife is very angry. But the truth is, most of the times, we are angering each other. Most times. But if you learn how to deal with an angry person, I used to be an angry person, but my wife was an expert at dealing with my anger. She was very good at it. She tamed me. You can tame your spouse by the way you respond to their anger. Number one thing that if you want to respond to somebody who is angry is to de-escalate the situation. Somebody cannot be angry and you want to be angry right along with them. I'm angry, you are angry. We're never going to get anywhere. There's no discussion that we can have with I'm angry, you're angry. We can't have a meaningful conversation. It's just not going to happen. We cannot have a meaningful conversation. But when you try, you cannot control your partner's anger. You just don't, but you can control your own. You can control your own. When you try to control the person, they become more and more defensive. They become more and more defensive. What you do is don't respond to your partner's anger. You got to remain calm. The calmer you are, the easier it is for that person to just quiet down. The easier for that person to just quiet down. I've told the story many times of a couple that me and my wife went to visit, and the wife was angry and she was and the husband was just quiet. The husband told us that your sister will soon be calm. Don't worry. It's one of those things. You know your sister now. And it did not show on his face that he was angry at all. As much as the woman was going up and down, just talking noise, you can't be doing this, you can't be doing that, and slamming doors and just angry, just talking. It did not show on the husband's face at all. Not in the least bit as if somebody is angry with him. He didn't walk into it. He just kept quiet. He was just smiling, you know. He was just, Brother, how are you? I said, cool, welcome, you know. And the wife was still, you know, shaking the house. And the man did not walk into it. If you have that fruit of the Spirit to be calm and to have that gentleness, you can control your home. You have to maintain your calm and your composure. Number two, be respectful. You know, express what you want, but be respectful. You can respond, but many times when we want to respond, we will disrespect the person because they are shouting. You do this all the time. You think you can intimidate me. You cannot intimidate me at all. There's no way you can intimidate me. You are my husband or you're my wife. You can, and you are going at each other. But if you can just be respectful, look, honey, let me explain this to you. No, I don't want to hear anything. Well, maybe when you are calm, you know, we'll be able to have a very much more meaningful conversation. Somebody got to be an adult in the room. You can't have two children. That's why they don't allow children to get married. They say you have to be a certain age. You must be an adult, a consenting adult to be married. But when you start shouting and screaming at each other, you have two children. Those of you who have multiple children know what it is to have two children in the house. Yeah, yes, come on. This one has done this to me, and that one has done this to me. You'll be a referee all day trying to judge who is right. Okay, you stop. You go and sit down. But you are two adults are acting just like those children going at each other. We got to grow up. We have to grow up. And number three, to deal with an angry spouse, you must try to understand and validate them. Because people, you know, feel like they are not being taken seriously, you know? They think they are not being heard. So when they are angry, you can be able to say, honey, I heard you. I've heard what you said, you know? Or when somebody is feeling disappointed and ignored, and you two, you are just feeding that disappointment and feeling ignored, we can feed that. And you don't want to feed their anger by trying to continue the conversation when the person is angry. Wait till they are calm before you continue your conversation. Because the biggest thing that you must understand their deepest need. You must show that I understand what's making you angry. If you don't show that understanding, they will always continue to be angry. I understand what's making you angry. Even if their reason for being angry is not valid, but show some level of understanding. It doesn't have to be valid for you to say, I understand you. Validate what they are saying, that, okay, I got you. I got what you are saying. And at that point where they are angry, it's not when you want to poke holes in what they are saying. You can now come later and begin to say, hey, listen, what we were talking about earlier, blah, 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 this is that. And they can have a better understanding of what you are teaching. Because communication is really not that difficult. It's a matter of you making that personal decision. That I'm going to communicate better with this person. It doesn't matter, they want to make noise, they want to shout, but I'm going to be the adult in this relationship. And number 4, you should practice patience and compassion. Because many times there are deeper things that's making a person behave the way they are behaving. Some people, they grew up with an unbelievable stepmother or unbelievable stepfather. Some women were raped as a child. Some people have been abused in their past. Many things have happened to most of us that shaped our past. Our fears, our sadness, our pain that we've carried over before we ever met our spouses. Be compassionate. Yeah, the person is angry. Try to understand, be compassionate that, oh, this person grew up without a father. This person grew up without a mother. This person lived with their uncle that was very abusive. Whatever that happened to them in the past, be able to be compassionate. That I understand. When they don't feel a sense of support and you getting just as angry as they are, there's no difference between the two of you. There's one statement that I normally make to people. I say, you have to model the behavior that you want your spouse to behave. You can't say, I don't like the way my wife is always angry or my husband is always angry, but you too, you get angry. My wife didn't tell me, wasn't always telling me, I don't like the way you are angry. She would just keep quiet. When I'm angry, she would just not say anything. 2 or 3 days later, when we might just be eating and laughing and talking, that's when she will bring it up. I don't even know where she got that wisdom from. That was even before we ever became counselors. She would just calmly say, you know, day before yesterday, what you did was not nice, or it wasn't right at all. You know, we were in church and, you know, right in front of everybody, you just shouted, let's go, let's go. I mean, it was not necessary. You know, the first time you told me, let's go, I heard you, but I was talking to somebody. You know, you did not even give me the chance to finish talking to the person and you were just shouting, let's go, let's go, let's go. That's not nice, you know. And we apologize. But she could as well have gotten angry, or when she got in the car, don't ever do that to me again. You stood in front of everybody and you're just shouting, let's go, as if I'm not your child. You can't do that. She will not do that. And when she does that and she expresses, just like the man of God was saying that you should use the word I, she expresses how she felt by my action. She wasn't insulting me, but she was saying, your action made me feel bad. And I will feel bad, and I will apologize. But many times, most of us, we cannot calmly respond to somebody who is angry. We want to fight back. You can't fight fire with fire. It doesn't work. The only thing that can put fire out is water or any other solution that's supposed to be able to put fire out. And that's what you have to do as a spouse. You also have a responsibility in that relationship to a person that is always angry. And number 5, you got to pick your battles. Don't fight over everything. I think I mentioned that before. You know, because you may win the argument. Okay, you win. Your spouse lost. In the spirit of oneness, if your spouse lost, you both lost. Unless you don't consider yourself as one in the marriage. The Bible tells us the two shall come together and become one. And if one of you have lost, you've lost. That's just clear. I mean, Nigeria cannot be playing Ghana in soccer and one guy gets angry and scores a goal against the team. The whole team just lost. The whole team. They will not say the guy that got angry, the goalkeeper allowed it go because the goalkeeper is angry. well, the goalkeeper is the one that lost. No. It affects the entire team. The entire team lost. The same thing with marriage. If your wife has lost, unless you don't consider yourself as one, if your wife loses, all of the whole marriage has lost. So your marriage gets weakened by unnecessary arguments. Let it go. Let it go. Number 6, you should reflect on your own actions and understand the triggers. What triggers my wife? What is it that makes her angry? What is it that makes make him angry? Reflect on it. If I do this, hey, my wife will be angry, so I won't do that. If I do this, my husband will be angry. I won't do that. If I speak like this, my husband will be angry. I won't do that. Some people, if you talk to them in public, just say, let's go now, they will spark on you. So since you already know that, when you want to talk to them in public, you speak low, because they will show out when they're in public and you don't watch the way. So you have to study who you are dealing with. What makes them angry? And you too, you have to be less reactive, you know? The less reactive that you are to them when they are angry, the better they will become. It'll be a better well-being for you and for your family. And number 7, I mentioned again during that you must be able to talk to your spouse when they are calm. You can't talk to them when they're impaired. Because anger is an impairment. It's like somebody's drunk. I was talking to you about the guy I work with that was angry yesterday, and I was just talking to him and said, listen, calm down. He was still shouting at the guy. I said, listen, calm down. It was just still going on. I mean, at the point that this guy was angry, I'm his boss, I could fire him. He wasn't even listening to me. He didn't want to listen to me. He could have lost his job based on his action. It really didn't matter. He was impaired at that point. When he was calm, he now came to me with his tail behind his back. But what he did was already done. That would have affected him for life. But he's a good guy. So I had to look away from what he just did. And number 8, you must not focus on trying to change your partner. You can't do that. You must focus on changing you. The ability to change your partner just doesn't exist. Only God changes people. God. But your attitude can change them. Your prayer for them can change them. But your argument, I can never, ever. It just doesn't happen. I will beat you down until you get it. It doesn't happen. You can't beat somebody down until they get it. You can't. You should influence them. You can influence them by your own behavior. You can influence them by creating a safe environment for them. And that's one of my biggest statements that I make to couples. Create a safe environment for your partner where they can feel comfortable to discuss with you. A place of cooperation. It's not a place of control. It's very easy for you to be able to manage your home when you're not doing exactly what they are doing. They are doing something wrong, but you do what is right. And you'll discover that your marriage will be better. And number 9, you should focus on the good things. You see, if you have to focus on, my husband is always angry, but this guy is a good provider. He's a loving guy. He's a good father. He's a nice man. He's good to your family. You know, just focus on the good things that this person is. Yeah, they get angry often, but there are triggers also. You know, there are some things that you also know, if I do this, this person is going to get angry. You have to be able to manage who they are. You have to be able to manage who they are. You should invest in positive emotions. Nurture those positive emotions. If somebody is angry and you say, honey, I love you. I just love you. They can stick on, I just love you. I just love you. And you smile. And you will discover that they will calm down. I've experienced it at work one day. One lady was angry with me, and I was angry with her also. And I spoke, I responded to her, and my wife called my attention that, no, you can't do that. That's just wrong. Look at you. You're talking to. So I realized, I kind of regretted the way I responded to her in anger. I went back to the lady. That was before Corona. I put my hand around her. I said, ma'am, I'm really sorry. She was like, leave me alone. I don't want to hear nothing from you. I was like, man, I apologize. And she was still going on, ma'am. And I kept going, ma'am, I am so sorry. I know I shouldn't have done what I did. Sincerely, I am so sorry. And she would walk away from me. And every time I would go to her again, ma'am, I want to smile. Everything will be all right. I want you to smile. I'm sorry. I apologized profusely, and the woman still would not come. And eventually, when we were done with her, she was about to leave. She came to me and said, sir, I am so sorry. I was out of line. You came to me. She was apologetic. And I learned from that you can be apologetic to draw the other person to become apologetic. But when you're stubborn, the partners too will be stubborn. You have two stubborn goats in the house. And the other one is the problem. With the chicken and the egg, it doesn't matter which one came first. As long as you have one, you're going to always have the other one. But if you kill one, the other one will die. If you kill the egg, you will stop having chicken. If you kill the chicken, you will stop having eggs. So you have a responsibility to say, hey, I always give an example of people playing tennis. If your partner want to play a tennis of anger with you, whenever they hit the ball to you and you catch the ball, the game is over. No matter how many times they hit the ball to you and you catch the ball, the game is over. And lastly, my last point is that you should seek godly counsel. When somebody's having anger problem, seek godly counsel. See a pastor, see a counselor, somebody who knows how to counsel someone who is who gets angry, who has anger problems. There are people that help people get over anger problem, and we should seek them. We should see them. We should talk to them. So it's very, very important. In a godly marriage, you have a responsibility to help your spouse, help your husband, help them to become better. You have a responsibility. So I'm just imploring all of us to learn how to. Communicating with your spouse is really not difficult, I'll be honest with you. Because many times people say they just want their spouse to change. Oh, it's him. It's him. But the bottom line is there's something called attentive listening. Listen to your spouse. Be attentive even if they are angry. Be attentive. Proverbs chapter 18 verse 13 said, to answer before listening is folly and shame. It's shameful when you cannot listen to your partner. They have concerns. Listen to their content. Even despite their anger, listen to the content of their anger. Even if it's not legitimate, try to digest it. You didn't marry a lunatic. You didn't marry a guy that is crazy. At least I'm going to assume that you didn't choose to marry somebody that, you know that this person is just crazy. They're not crazy. Otherwise, you not have married them. Whatever point they are making to you is valid to them. That point may be senseless to you, but try to see the sense out of what they are saying. If you look at it closely, you will hear it. You will see the sense out of what they are saying. you will catch it. That's why me and my wife, sometimes we don't agree on everything. There are some unresolved issues in my home right now that me and her can never agree. She says A and I say it's B. Up to now, she doesn't agree with my A and I don't agree with her B, but we have left it alone. We are not fighting over it. But if the issue comes up again, I'm still taking my A position. She's still taking her B position. I respect your B position. She respects my A position, and that's just it. And we are both fine with it. We're not fighting over it, but there's no way I can change her position on this issue. But there's no way she can change my position on this issue. We are looking at the same coin, but we are looking at it from different sides. So if I'm looking at the head of this coin and she's looking at the tail of the coin, there's just no way she can convince me that it's a head when I'm looking at tail. And there's no way I can convince her that it's a tail when she's looking at head. Because many times, men and women, we are so different in the way we see things. We see it totally different. And what she's saying cannot make sense to me because I'm a man. I've been a man all my life, and I will be a man till I die. My wife's a woman. She's a woman today, and she'll be a woman forever. So all her emotions is being influenced by her feminine hormones, and all my emotions is being influenced by my masculinity. So there are some things that she feels that I don't feel. I mean, there was something I was teasing her about pregnancy, and I was saying, what is so difficult about pregnancy anyway? She was like, don't let any woman hear what you just said. What do you mean? I said, never mind. You know, but I mean, I was just teasing, I was just joking. You know, don't let women hear what you just said. What do you mean by what is so difficult? Because I always joke. I say, if it's men that get pregnant, you know, we will be playing soccer. And during halftime, we say, hey, let's stop the game. Pastor Ben wants to go and born. Oh yeah, go on the side, born the child quickly. Let's finish the game. They said, if it's men, that's what we will do. She doesn't even like that joke. She doesn't feel that it's funny, you know. But the thing about it is that you got to know who you are dealing with. Well, I see Deacon Tunde is nudging me. I appreciate you, sir. The Lord bless you all. I hope we have been blessed. Thank you, Pastor Tope Ojo, again for blessing us this morning.
Thank you so much, Pastor Ben, if you will do. Pastor Tope Ojo, before we get into the question and answer session, I know you were trying to round up earlier before you got disconnected. So you have like a few minutes just to round up on your thoughts.
Oh, thanks. What a beautiful time. Thank you, Pastor. It's so refreshing listening to you. I've been taking notes. Actually, I was just making one last point. And the last point is to ask questions. Ask questions. It's a very powerful skill in softening relationships. Pastor Oshibudu had told different stories to buttress that. When you are in doubt, it helps communication. It helps relationship. Ask questions. They said the most foolish question is the one that is not asked. Don't be afraid. I learned that, and then I will go to my wife. I will say, what you just said, I don't understand it. Honey, did you say this? Or she will repeat herself again and explain better. And I will say still, look, I still don't get it. So you understand my point. Ask questions. Don't be too proud. Look, you are married. How can I be with my wife and be ashamed? I'm feeling inferior. A woman that I've been married to for 31 years and I still want to now be raising shoulder and say, I don't want a woman to look down. If she wants to look down on me, she has been looking down all this while. So there is nothing to brag about, honey. I do not get what you just said because I don't want us to quarrel. Ask questions. it's a very big area of communication. That's all. That's the point that I was making. Thanks.
I don't know if we lost following me. I don't see her online, and I want to ask what questions have been sent online for our able pastor to be able to answer some of those questions.
Yes, I guess we lost him a bit. He should be connecting back. He should be connecting back very soon. It's been such an illuminating time hearing two experts like you, Pastor Topman, and dear Pastor Ben discuss with us this morning. We really appreciate what has happened this morning. And God bless you. So one of the things that really occurred to me, and I don't know, before he comes, I can put that question here. You know, these days we talk a lot about education, go to school, go to school, go to school. And we've seen instances where it is either the woman that is going to school or the man that is going to school. And so the gap keeps widening. The last time the man went to school was high school. The wife has gone all the way to PhD. So, and to tell you the truth, when you go through those processes, education has a way of building a whole lot of structures into your system, how you appreciate things, how you logically arrange your points to arrive at the solution, especially if you are science inclined, you know, and this has a way of feeding into the family, relationship between a husband and a wife. How do you look at such issues? What should families do? Should they stop going to school at where they stopped, or should they keep going or carrying each other along? That's the first question, and I hope Pastor Topper, you can give a shot at that.
I think I wouldn't say the solution, but my opinion is that Pastor Ben mentioned something, we should operate as a team. We are a family. We are always a team. That concept is very powerful and very important. We are always a team. If you go to get a PhD, I'm coming with you. I'm getting a PhD. It's not you getting a PhD and leaving me behind. I'm saying this to mean not that I too would then go and register to do a PhD. No. What I'm saying is that we're a team. It is our PhD. We sat down together. We agreed. Will this benefit us? Will this bless us? What's going to be the end result? How is this going to affect our family? How is it going to affect our future? How is it going to affect us as people? So when we first start with that, it will help us to calm down and to understand that we are a team and we are focused. And then the spouse that is not pursuing the education should find their fulfillment. In fact, there is one point. The moderator is back. Should I go on?
Finish up and then he can take over.
Yes. The one point I pray I will be able to mention a little tomorrow that I've come to find out, and I'm discussing with people as I go, is that when we come to the second stage of marriage, after the first 25 years, when we become empty nesters, fulfillment is one big issue. We should both sit down and ask each other what fulfills you. What fulfills you as a person? What is your dream? What fulfills you? Each person should find what fulfills them, and it should be talked about. Issue of pursuing education should not be just one person saying, honey, this is where I am headed. I've finished masters. I am going alone to do my, no, it should be a joint issue. When we all agree to it, when it is our project, there's fulfillment in it. You just described me. My wife is doing a PhD presently. And my first son is just gone back to law school. And so my wife and my first son, they are doing PhD at the same time. And I look at myself and, do I want a second degree so that I can match my wife's? No, I am top man. I am fulfilled. Till I die, I've chosen what I want. And I love doing. And I am fulfilled that I am doing God's work. I am impacting kingdom. And so I free her. And our PhD is complementing my work. My work is complementing a PhD. It is a family. It's a family thing. I just want to stop there. It's a beautiful issue that you raise.
Thank you.
But we can talk a lot more about it.
Thank you, sir. So I want to apologize for the
no need. It's technology.
I know. So thank you. So while you were talking earlier, and this question is, I will have Pastor Tokwe Ojo take it first, and then maybe Pastor Ben can speak to it as well. The question came in saying, what's the difference between criticism and complaints?
Oh my goodness. I don't know. I'm not an English expert. And I do not want to approach the question, the answer, from the point of view of being a linguist, but I'm looking at it from the point of view of relationships. What is the difference between criticism and, please, what is it again? Criticism and what?
And complaints.
And complaint. They are both intertwined, aren't they? But a complaint can become criticism, right? You are criticizing me. And a complaint, sometimes, is it once? Is it multiple times? So it could be multiple. It could be you are repeating the same complaint, and you are repeating the same complaint, and then it becomes criticism to your spouse. And criticism, expert tells us, is not evil. They have told us, these are experts on the platform. Criticism is not evil, but criticism, if it's positive, there are positive criticisms, there are negative criticism. There are certain criticism, you determine what kind they are by their motive. By their motive. Is it to bully me? Is it to harass me, or to call me name? And that doesn't produce positive. But if it is, the criticism is to tell me, honey, you are not looking, but my wife look at me and say, if she looks at me and say, honey, this beard doesn't make you look good. This beard you are wearing doesn't make you look good. And she continued to say, and I say, I'm going to keep my beard wherever you like. I can see that as criticism, but my wife wants me to be a better person. So I hope I'm able to put a little juice to that. I would rather the question is more direct, but both complaint and criticism, yeah. Somebody can complain when they don't like something. Somebody can criticize, and so, but you have to understand the spirit behind it. Let others contribute, please.
Pastor Ben, can you take that question, please?
Okay, thank you. Just to add to what Pastor Sokojo has said, criticism generally, complaints usually escalate to criticism. When somebody complains about an issue, just like Pastor Tokwe just said, it begins to escalate and it goes towards somebody feeling criticized. Criticism is about the person. It's not even about the issue. They don't feel like you are addressing the issue. If I leave a cup on the ground, you are complaining, please don't stop leaving cup on the ground. Criticism is that you're just so dirty. Look at all these things that you do, just lift stuff everywhere. I mean, I don't know how many times I need to talk to you about this, and then you are criticizing my person now. The issue is you've left a cup. Can you please pick the cup up, because it doesn't make this place look good. Let's clean after yourself, please. But badgering the person and coming after them and talking about their personality, when it becomes a personal attack, that's when usually people start feeling criticized. So it's about language. What you have just said, but most of the times we need to look at content also. Because people are angry that somebody is criticizing me, and they're still not trying to look through the content of what the person had just said. Because if I say something to you, stop leaving the cup here, by the time I say the third time, I'm not going to be nice. And that's just human being. Human beings are not nice to say the same thing over and over, then it becomes criticism to the person who's receiving it. Because the perspective of who is receiving it is what usually determines whether it's a complaint or it's a criticism, because how you see it is very important. If my wife feels like I'm criticizing her the way I'm presenting this stuff, then I need to pull back. But my intention is not to punch her. My intention is to be able to help her to become better. And if my help is becoming a problem, then I need to pull back, because I'm not achieving my goal. Then what's the point of keep going? I should use a different approach.
Thank you, sir. This question was actually directed to Pastor Tokwe Ojo. You mentioned asking questions. So the person says, I try to ask questions in order to not make assumptions. When I ask my spouse questions, it gets very defensive. I have tried several times and it gets and get the same outcome. How do I undo this?
First of all, I don't know how you ask your questions. I don't know how. Remember that I said that you must practice, as I said, practice using I to start your statements instead of you. If you ask a question from somebody accusatively or critically, you are trying to criticize them, you are asking a question anyway, but I can't bring out exact examples now, but there is a way, especially in our language, in my local language, Yoruba language, there is a way a Yoruba person can ask you a question. In asking you a question, it will make you look foolish. It will make you look like an idiot. The question that he has asked you is actually asking you a question, but it's like he's portraying you as, look how foolish you are. So if you ask such a question, I may not want to answer that kind of a question. So how you frame your question matters. Think about that. Use I, only, like that statement. I read an example statement. I said, okay, the wife said, I felt anxious when I didn't know what time you'll be home. And then it's different from you made me worried, or you always come late. You always come back home late. So, but those are not questions. Those are not questions. But I'm trying to say that how you ask your question matters. But the other side of it, truly, there are spouses that are defensive. If you ask them question they can be defensive. But if you simplify it, if my wife says something to me and I say, Oni, help me understand you clearer. What you have said, what I'm hearing is different. I don't know if it's different from what you are saying. There are most of the time, unless you ask questions to clarify, you will not get the intention of what they are passing across. But we have difficult spouses that can be defensive, rightly so. If you get to a crossroad, you have tried, and what you have said is repeating itself, seek counsel. Please, seek counsel. You need an umpire. You need an unbiased, fair umpire to listen to both of you. If I listen to your husband now, I will understand the other part of your question. So you need an unbiased umpire, a fair, godly, unbiased umpire to listen to you, seek counsel. Let them listen to what happens to you. They will be able to say, hey, you guys need to adjust here and there. There's what we call speaker-listener technique in conversations. When you ask a question, for instance, people from Nigeria knows that when you ask a Nigerian a question, we will always, most of the time, respond by asking a question. We use our response sometimes is the question again. So you need to understand the language and the personality. But if you hit a crossroad, seek counsel.
All right, thank you, sir. So this question I'm going to direct to Pastor Ben. Pastor Ben, a question came in saying, please, what do you do when men beat their wives non-stop? Could a spouse seek divorce for that reason before they are killed?
Well, like I said, there are some things I call character problem that some of us have. Beating a woman is an extremely irresponsible act and totally unacceptable. Seeking counsel in that case is the number one thing. I mean, I can't imagine any one of my sisters being beaten by their husband, it's just not acceptable. So to say you are going to seek divorce, but I think I'm pretty positive that if they seek help from the beginning, what usually happens is that somebody have accepted being beaten as being normal in the relationship. And sometimes I've seen somebody being beaten and they still marry the person. So the husband has seen that action as being normal. Somebody needs to be able to say that action is not normal. In America, you go to jail for it. They actually will lock you up, and I would think that the person needs to protect themselves. I mean, they shouldn't wait until they get killed. It's getting to the point, I mean, the first time a lady is slapped, the first time should be the last time that incident should occur. If it's going to become a pattern, they need to seek counsel immediately, seek help immediately. But many times, people have tolerated it so long as being normal in the relationship, by the time they are even telling anybody, especially we Africans, we don't like to tell people to say, I don't want people to know my business, but the bottom line is that if you don't want people to know your business and you are sick, you will die of cancer if you don't go see a doctor. The earlier you go see a doctor, the better it is that you can find solution. But if you say, I don't want anybody to know my business, by the time you go to the doctor, it may be too late. So sometimes some of these issues, people have allowed it to linger for too long. And that's why premarital counseling is so vital, is so important, because some of these issues would have been caught before they even get married. I mean, because chances are he was beating her when they were courting. She wasn't telling anybody. you know? So again, as far as divorce is concerned, but I think that find help first. If the beating going to continue, well, I'm not going to say somebody should stay in an environment where they can potentially get killed.
Thank you, sir. A question about finances came in, but another one came in that I feel is an interesting question. So I'm going to ask Pastor Tokwe to answer this question. The question says, how can I manage my husband that wants me to do everything for him? I am so tired putting the house together alone.
Please, can you repeat the question again?
How can I manage my husband that wants me to do everything for him? I am so tired putting the house together alone.
I'm so tired putting the house together for him.
Together alone.
Alone. Okay.
Alone, yes.
Yeah, you are not supposed to put the house together alone. We are married. Marriage is a partnership. Marriage is a partnership. It's not supposed to be one person's burden at all. Yeah, there are roles in marriage. The husband is the head. The husband is the leader. The wife is the supporter. It helps the husband. But marriage is a partnership. You are not supposed to manage the home alone, and you are not supposed to manage your husband. Your husband is old enough to manage himself. But what you are saying, the question, the heart of your question, to me, the way it sounds to me is like the burden of maintaining this marriage is on you more. That's the heart of what I'm hearing from your question. The burden of keeping this home going is way more on you, though you didn't tell us the detail. Does that mean financially? Does that mean spiritually, or is it just in terms of organizing the house? You didn't say the detail, but if the burden is more on you, it should not be. It should not be. There should be a balance. Seek help, seek counsel. Ask your husband, this is not okay with me. Can we seek counsel? Can we ask? Pastor Ben mentioned it. One of the major problems of Africans is that we shy away from seeking help. We don't want counsel. In fact, we want the thing to almost break down before we then agree to go to counseling. We really want to. Statistically, men don't want help. Men don't seek help first. Women seek help quicker. Statistically, all men of all cultures, of all colors, Americans, Indians, Ghanaians, anywhere, men feel, no, I got it. Women always want to seek help first. But generally, among Africans, from our cultural point of view, no, we really want to seek help. So, but when you come to this crossroad that you describe and you feel more, the burden is more on you, and you are carrying it, like Pastor Ben just said, you become a compliant. You become a compliant, because if you do not speak out, if you do not seek help, you are accepting it, you are tolerating it. You can't change what you tolerate. You cannot change whatever you are tolerating. So you need to seek help, seek counsel of a godly, fair, unbiased umpire to help you in that relationship.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Pastor. While you were talking, so I'm going to stay with Pastor Tokwe Ojo. I think you said it all, but you might want to add some more. So the person that actually asked that question, I guess, heard you speak, and the person came back with taking care of him and the kids. He said, I must be there for them always.
So, I'm so sorry. Forgive me for laughing like that. I mean, you want him to take care of you and the kids and be there always. Pastor Ben, please, over to you, sir. I want you to talk to that also.
That's by correction, by the way, is the husband that wants her to take care of him and the kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My laughter kind of gave my answer away, but I want somebody else to, Pastor Ben. I mean, it's not right. It's not biblical. It's not practical. It's not human. It's not. Where do you get married? Marriage is a partnership. It's not even cultural. Because I want to engage the fellow that says that. Which culture tells you that it's only one person? I'm not even saying whether it's a woman or a man. It's only one person. Even for a man, it's not I alone cannot take care of my wife and my children alone without her participating, without her helping me. Then we are not married. I'm probably a slave or Pastor Ben, please.
Yeah, thank you, sir. That's why we always emphasize that people should come to some of these programs. I mean, those kind of husbands will have learned some things over the years that it's an irresponsible act to be able to tell your wife to carry the burden of the household. And we have seen that happen a lot, If my wife is in the kitchen, I go help her. She doesn't have to call me. She does not have to call me. Hey, baby, what do you need when you want me to cut this meat or you want me to do that one? What do you need me to do? I just come in and begin to help. If she has to call me, then there's a problem already, So a responsible husband takes the comfort of his wife as a priority.
Yes.
How is my wife going to be comfortable?
Yes.
I mean, that's number one for me. I'm not going to do anything that will overburden my wife. I mean, there's sometimes my wife will be trying to do something and I see that she's tired. I say, baby, you're tired. I say, no, I'll do it. I say, you are tired. Go and sit down. And she will refuse. But I am saying, listen, okay, I'll do it. Let me do this. And she will say, no, I mean, we just have these things to do. That's what a responsible husband will do. If your wife is complaining to you and you are not listening to that complaint, it's a problem. That person really needs to seek a godly counsel. Let that be a neutral person like Pastor Topo. Keep hammering that there should be an umpire who is unbiased. Because when she's saying it, because some of those people, that's what they grew up with in their home. Their father never did anything. He's sitting outside playing draft. Come home come inside at 10 o'clock at night, been drinking all day, and then wake the wife up. She has to make food available before he goes to sleep and all. That's what they know, So somebody has to be able to detoxify this person because it's a toxic behavior, I mean, toxicity demands that the situation be detoxified. So let them seek help. That's the only solution that we have. Then they can listen to both sides, because sometimes when you hear one side, the story is grossly exaggerated, and then you can hear a balance, and then you can tell each person, this is what you need to do, this is what you need to do. And if they both do it, if they don't both, because most times when people are having conflict, they're both usually wrong. One person is doing something wrong, the other one is also doing something wrong. Then you can be able to tell them, this is adjustment you need to make, this adjustment you need to make, and if they both do, they'll be fine.
Thank you, Pastor Ben. So I'm going to stay with you, Pastor Ben, on this one. So the person says, Pastor Ben talked about walking in the fruit of the Spirit. If I am constantly taking the high road, I am afraid that my spouse will take advantage of me and of the situation. How do I ensure I am not being taken advantage of?
That's a brilliant question. The thing about it is that in terms of what will you now look at it as being taken advantage of? For me, I think you put in 100% into a marriage. You put everything that you have into it. Don't look at what the person is putting in, because if you have to say, oh, so since you are putting 50, me too, I'll put 50 now. No, you put in everything that you can put in. Let your spouse learn from you how, you model the behavior that you want the person to behave. So you have to keep coming at them and bringing them along, because a lot of times how we approach things determines the result. Same situation, but if every time I'm the only one that's carrying all this thing, all he's hearing is you are nagging, you are shouting, you are screaming. The person is not even hearing the content of what you are complaining about, But a reasonable person, if you can sit them down and say, just like I told you before, my wife was singularly the one that was calm in the home. She never one day said, since you are not calm, I'm going to stop being calm. She never did. She was always calm for years, always calm. And I would leave you with one story. And I've told this story to many times, but I don't know who are all on the audience. A few years ago, my wife did something to me, and I was very angry. I was sleeping on the sofa downstairs. I was sleeping on the recliner. And she woke me up and said, let's go upstairs to sleep. And I said, I'm not going upstairs with you. I was angry. I didn't want to go upstairs. And she was like, you are not going? I said, no, I'm not going upstairs. And I was serious. I was not going to go upstairs. He said, why? I'm angry. What do you mean? What do you mean? She said, you are a pastor. You are the one to teach. You are teaching people. See how you are behaving. Okay, just move. The two of us we will sleep here. The two of us will sleep here then. I was ashamed of myself when she did that. I was extremely ashamed. Me that teach people. I'm the one, because at that point, I wasn't a counselor. I was an angry husband. I was a very angry husband, and I misbehaved as an angry husband, and the things that I was teaching other people to do went out of the window. Now, she didn't say I'm the one that is always compromising. So, well, you want to sleep there? Yeah, fine. I'm tired of every time it's me that you always compromise. Me, I'm going upstairs, Joe. And if she had gone upstairs that day, that problem would have lingered for weeks and months, because I would be very angry that she's very arrogant. You see that she actually went to sleep seriously. She will come downstairs and come and make breakfast. I will refuse to eat breakfast that morning. Definitely, I'm not going to eat breakfast. That is cooked. So we can just make a decision to play our part. But seek help again to help your spouse if you cannot convince them. The method at which you convince them is also very, very important. You can. If my wife that day have just told me, so look at you. You is that how a reasonable spouse supposed to behave? And you call yourself a pastor. Is that how what pastors are supposed to be doing? She did not say that. She said it in a mild way that said, you can't do that. Oh, you are the one that teaching people, and you are the one that is getting angry now. Pastor, I can never forget. She was saying, Pastor. Okay, since you are not going to address, so the two of us, we are going to sleep down here today. When people learn how to handle their problems, the problems just tend to go away. This is not, the problem just goes away. It's been tested, Don't amplify the problem, and the problem will quietly go away.
Thank you, sir. So this next question is for Pastor Dr. Ojo. Pastor, how do you handle a spouse that has shut down?
It's that's a very it's heartbreaking. A spouse that has shut down, you need a lot of prayer for God to reach him and touch his heart. A lot of prayer, because the burden is now on you. Once you say it's shut down, that means that door he has closed it, let's assume it temporarily. The best thing to do is to seek help. Seek help. Now, what kind of help? If it's a husband that has shut down, and if it's a wife for that matter too, there must be somebody that he respects. There must be somebody that, I don't know how long you have been married, over the years you've related with him. You know your husband is fond of. He's fond of certain persons. There are certain friends that he admires. Either they are older than him or they are his peer. There will be such a person. And I pray that such a person will be a godly person too. I pray. I don't know. Those are the people that can actually reach out first to people who are shut down. Those are the people that God can use to open their heart, first of all, to plead, to ask for intervention, to ask for them to allow for intervention. So, but seek help yourself. First of all, seek help. Go to counseling, go to your pastor, go to your spiritual leader, go to a truthful friend of yours, a friend that you respect, is a friend that is godly, not a deceiver now, not somebody who will say what you want, somebody who will tell you some brutal truth. You need to seek help from that person. I say, what do? I'm dying. I'm in trouble. But seek help of a godly counselor, of a fair person, and say, this is the situation. They will guide you, first of all, because you have a burden that you are carrying. You need to be healthy yourself. You need to be healthy spiritually. You need to be healthy mentally now, because the burden is on you. So you need to be healthy. You need to be put in a place where you have become balanced. That is the reason. That is the reason. When you go to fly, the air hostess and host will tell you, if we lose pressure air, help yourself first before you help an infant. So you need to have a footing to be able to stand before you can help him. So you need to seek counsel first of all, and then while you are doing that, think about the first one I mentioned. Think about who can reach him. Who does he respect? I've been in a mediation where a spouse shut down, and unknown to me, I've spoken in the church before, and from out of town, long, far place, they called me, the pastor, the ladies saw the counsel of the pastor and told the pastor the story. Who does he listen? Say a livestock man. He listens to your tapes. He listens to my CDs. He listens. So he respects me. They told me. So they said, maybe you can reach him. And God helped us. I was able to, when he heard that I'm the one that want to speak with him, he said, if it's top man, I will give him a chance. And then we started gradually. So, but please seek help. After we are done with this forum, please seek help with one of the pastors on this forum. Don't let this thing you have mentioned go. You are talking about something serious here. Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor. So we have a lot of questions coming in, and which is a good thing. But because our time is fast spent, we're just going to take 2 more questions before we move on to the next item on the agenda. So this question I'm going to direct to Pastor Ben. The question says, how can my husband stop comparing our marriage to his parents' marriage? How his mother is always the best?
Okay. Well, I mean, again, like Pastor Topper keeps saying, people should seek counseling, because you can't do that. That is wrong. So what answer can be given to make him stop? Unless he's spoken to, unless somebody is able to convince him that you can't, this is not your, there's a ad that uses, this is not your father's Oldsmobile. You know, this is not your father's marriage. This is not your mother's marriage. You cannot compare the two. Even to any marriage, period. You can't compare them. It's very hurtful for most women to hear, oh, this is what my mother used to do. This is not, you are not married to your mother. Somebody needs to be able to tell them that those kind of behavior is destructive. Because when it's coming from the wife, it's as if the wife is being defensive. So a lot of times when we are telling our spouse this is the way to behave, and they don't believe it because it's coming from you. You know, you are the judge, you are the executioner. So how can I believe you? You are the one that is trying to change me. So I don't believe whatever that you are saying. But when a neutral person is able to look through what is going on, you know, like the guy that you were mentioning that, you know, was shut down. What are the issues that happened? You know, because I'm sure they didn't shut down, you married the person that was shut down. Series of events occurred that got them to that point. They may not be valid, but the person also have to be able to recognize what they contributed to the other person shutting down. So it has to be a holistic approach in solution. It's not that the guy just woke up one day or the woman woke up one day and say, I'm shutting down, you know? So that's why I was saying earlier that one should also recognize triggers. You know, what really will shut my spouse down, and don't do it. You know, what makes them happy, you do more. What makes them sad, you do less. So when you continue as a spouse and both sides are doing less of what makes, I do less of what makes my wife angry, I do more of what makes my wife happy, there's less likelihood that the person is going to shut down. So they need help, and they should seek the help so that the two of them can know what adjustment they need to make so that those things don't occur again.
Thank you, sir. This next question, I'm going to actually direct to Pastor Tope Ojo, and I would want Pastor Ben's view on it as well, but I'll let Pastor Tope Ojo take the first stab at it. So, Pastor Tope, the question says, how do we resolve the issue of money, finances in marriage?
That cannot just be said in a single statement. Finance in marriage is a big issue. It's like asking us to do another seminar, another conference, and then instead of using the topic communication in marriage, you then say finance in marriage. It's a deep area. It's big. So I don't know what question that fellow is asking that now. He has asked a vague question. Finance in marriage is huge. It's one of, actually, statistically, it's the number one reason divorces happen. And it is not lack that causes problem in finance. Even people who have more than enough, they divorce. People who have billionaires, Abi, the recent one, right? Bill Gates and his wife, after how many years? 27 years. That's the richest man, so to say. Even Bezos. Bezos is his companion too. These are billionaires. They divorce. So usually we would think, oh, the reason we are struggling with finance is because we don't have enough. It's when I have more than enough, all this trouble, nonsense, it's not true. The issue with finance is the issue of the heart. It's the issue of the heart. It's a matter of the heart. It's not a matter of whether we have less or whether we have more. It's a matter of the heart. People who have more, much more, they divorce. People who have less, not enough, they divorce also. So people struggle. So the best thing in finance is to agree. The mantra for finance, agreement, agreement, agreement. Agreement to do what? Agreement to bring our finances to be transparent. Agreement to have no secrecy. Agreement to say this is our money. It's a commonwealth. Agreement. And then you must live by budget. If you are on the forum, if you ask the question, if you live in the Western world, you must live by budget. There have to be a budget. And you must let the best person, the person who is better in managing finance, take charge of your finances. Don't do it by, I am the man, and use the macho and say, I got to do it. No, I, top man, speaking to you, I learn by burning my finger. My wife is much more, a lot better than me financially, based on backgrounds and stuff. Pastor Ben mentioned. But I didn't learn that quicker. I came from the old school that thought because I'm the man, I have to take care of the finances, until I kept bringing us down the slope financially. And then our finance became better when I let my wife manage our finance. So you want me to do another seminar, a whole seminar on finance? I don't think there's enough time to do that. That's why there's a forum like this. I want to plead with the moderator too. I sent a message. If there are more questions, if you can let us hang a little more. If the people are having questions, this forum will be more effective if we can answer some of them.
Yeah, and we've gotten the grace to just have a few more questions. So we have like a few more minutes to ask additional questions. So I wanted Pastor Ben to take a stab at that finances question. So do you want to take a shot at it?
Well, the bottom line is that I always tell people, all the income in the home belongs to both of you. If one person is making $1 million and the one person is making $10, you are making $1 million and $10. It's not, this is my husband's money. In my house, we have 2 cars. This is not my car and your car. We have 2 cars.
A car.
So if we want to go out and we have to drive both cars, my wife will drive the better one. I will drive the other one. You know, so you have to make your finances. It has to be unimportant. If you glorify money in the home, you're going to have problems. You know, I'm the one making all the money, and therefore I'm the one that has to make decisions about the money. No, money in our home is our money. Pastor Tobo, we were in Nigeria together now. I remember what you said. You said, I know that you people are going to give me honorarium. Top man must know, this is what I got to.
Yes.
This is how we are going to, you know, there's no, I'm the one that flew to Nigeria and I'm the one that ministered. So which one concern you about this money now? You know, that's not how finances should work. There should be oneness in marriage. Any couple that is one, when you are really and truly one, money wouldn't be a problem in that home. You know, it's a matter of that selfishness. You know, when we are all self-centered, a lot of times we are self-centered. It's about me, you know, but when you make the issue, it's about us. All that we have is about us. How do we do this? How do we do that? How do we do this? How do we do that? That's what we must do. And when we can't do that, then that's when they start having money problem. Sometimes one person likes spending money recklessly, another person. If that occurs and you always find a referee, find an umpire, find help, you know, seek financial counseling. This is our income. We make $75,000 a year. We make $25,000 a year. But my husband likes to go to Fiji every year. We only make $25,000, you know? And me, I want to save money. A referee can be able to say, okay, why don't you compromise? Once every 3 years, you go to Fiji. Then you save this. You know, somebody can help you plan the money. As long as this is my money and that's your money, most homes that I see them fighting is about this is your money and this is my money. And therefore, they can't work well together, you know. So they just need to find some kind of help.
Thank you, sir. So I have a question here that someone asked. The person asks, what if the woman wants help and the man refuses? What should the woman do? Pastor Tokojo, can you please?
The question again.
The question is, what if the woman wants help and the man refuses?
All right. I get the question. He can't refuse. I don't know. It depends on where you live. If you live in the Western world, you can't want help and the man will refuse. You want help. If he says don't go, he doesn't go follow you everywhere. There is a reason why he's refusing. Why is he refusing? He probably doesn't want the issue resolved. So you have to think and you have to make your choice. If he doesn't want the issue resolved, then the problem is not going away. But even if you live in Nigeria, if you don't live in the Western world, people don't live in cages anymore now. You go to church, right? You have forum to communicate. You can seek help. What he's refusing is he's telling you, I don't want you bringing my business to nobody. I'm not going to respond to them. That still doesn't stop you from seeking help. It's more reason why you need to seek help. Because the partner that doesn't want help has something that they want to perpetrate. They have something they want to perpetrate, and there's danger. If you continue to refuse to sit with him and refuse to seek help, the world has become, I mean, we are talking about the online, the world has become, I don't know how to explain. Somebody living in Kigali, somebody living in Afghanistan can seek help. They can seek help. The help means talking to somebody else to say, hey, this is what I'm dealing with here. Can you help? That's what help means. Help means reaching out of yourself to somebody else. But we have cultures which I think we are overcoming. Nigerian culture, they used to tell us when you are married, one of the advice, don't ever let a third party hear about come and intervene between you. They used to give us that as a carrot, as if it is a weapon, as if we are better.
Okay. All right. So, well, the next question, which would probably be like the final question, then we can go back to the counseling question with Pastor Ben. But this question is actually for Pastor Tokwe Ujo. So at the beginning, when you started talking, you said something about shoulder-to-shoulder communication. So can you please expatiate on that, what you mean by shoulder-to-shoulder communication?
Yeah, it's just a way of describing how I said men communicate shoulder to shoulder. Women communicate face to face. It's just a way, an expression. One of the communication experts in relationships said that is just to describe how men are brief, the brevity of how men communicate. Men report. Men don't go into details. Men will just, once we share the nitty-gritty, the points of conversation, men are satisfied. But women, when you look at somebody in the face and you communicate with them, you see their emotion. You see the spirit of the conversation. You are part of it. And they want to process it. So women is just to explain that women are detailed, and they are more detailed. They listen to what men don't care about. And all that, I always like to say, they are not deficiencies. They are not deficiency. When a man says, my wife talks too much, it's not a deficiency for a woman to talk a lot. It's in fact, average women talk. They talk a lot. They talk. They did a research that showed that baby girls speak more than boys. And so it's not a deficiency for the boy. It's the way God wired. So the wife should understand the husband who doesn't talk a lot. That's the wiring, how God wired a man. The husband should understand a wife who talks a lot, that's how God wired a woman. And so when you have that understanding, you relate better. You relate better. Up till now, my wife talks and say things and say you are not responding. And I will say, I have no response. I'm just processing it. And she wants me to respond. But because a woman, they talk back, in talking, they process their thoughts. That's what I meant by that. If we have understanding of that differences, it will lessen our challenge in relating. We will not quarrel, we will not fight. When I won't fight with my wife when she wants to talk. All I can do is to be a listener, and they are satisfied with that. When you listen to them, they are satisfied with that often. Yes.
Thank you so much, sir. So in rounding up this question and answer session, I'm going to give Pastor Ben the floor to just maybe take it from the beginning if you want to, because of the technical glitch that we had. But the question was the same one that I asked earlier, which says, how do you deal with a spouse who refuses counseling?
Okay. Well, I was just mentioning earlier that, you can't help somebody who doesn't want to be helped. The bottom line is the party that really needs help should always seek help. Just go and seek help. And if you have a very good godly counselor, they can teach you principles that which you can draw the person closer. They can allow you to, because the person didn't shut down by themselves. You were a participant in that where the person says, I'm not going to seek help. So they can teach you how to be a better person. Because like I always say, whenever two people are having conflict, they are 100 out of 100%, they are both doing something wrong. One person could have started it, one person is doing something wrong, but our response to what they are doing wrong is also wrong. So if they can teach you how to better approach him or her, this is what you need to do. This should be a better response. And more than likely, when the person see changes from one end, they are likely to change. I think I was telling the story of there was a couple that they swore they were going to divorce, and the guy came to see me, and he already said that even Jesus come, I'm not going to marry you, I'm going to divorce. So when he told his story, well, your wife was wrong, but your approach to what your wife did was wrong too. So you're going to need to go back home and tell your wife that you are sorry about what you did, you know? And the wife changed just because he went home and told her he's sorry. She said, this guy has never said sorry about anything since we've been married. She was amazed that this guy would actually say sorry. What? And that changed her completely. That if my husband can humble himself to come to me to say sorry, me too, I'm so sorry. And today they are a better couple just because one person was able to go back and say, I am sorry. So there are some things that somebody can also do to help their partner to say, the place where you have been, I'm going to go there. Just like in Christianity, when people see what God has done for you, they say, you know, that God that you serve, I want to meet that God. Because I've seen the transformation that has occurred in your life because of the God that you are serving. So when your spouse that says, I don't want counseling, if they see the transformation that has taken place in your life because somebody has counseled you, they are more than likely to say, you know what, the place where you have been that has transformed you, we are going there together.
Thank you so much, sir. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate you, Pastor Tope and Pastor Ben. It has been a fun and impacting section. I'm going to give the floor now to Pastor Mike David to round us up and close us out. Pastor Mike, please.
Okay. Thank you. It's been such a wonderful, wonderful time. So on behalf of the senior pastors of this church and the entire membership of this church, I want to say a very, very big thank you to Pastor Ben Oshibadu and our dear Pastor Tope Ojo for finding time to share with us such a wealth of experience and God's investment in your life. You have been a blessing to us as a church, and I guess the world is actually seeing what is happening here. I've been on 2 of the platforms out of 4, and I think the response has really, really, really been good. So to say very, very, very big thank you. Thank you for finding time to be with us today. I will not leave out the couples committee of House of Glory. You have done immeasurably well, so well in coming up with this program, packaging it, making sure everything runs well. So only God alone will bless you for your service to the people. And for all of us that are online today, I want to believe that I'm speaking your mind. This has been so resourceful, so helpful to our homes. So all we're looking and trusting God for is that things get better for all of us. You know, there's this scripture that I read on Sunday that I will read. Pastor Tope started by contextualizing our situation within the COVID environment we've been over the past year, and how that has impacted, you know, and I love it the way he said it, that this is a unique opportunity. What became a problem for many, he dug an opportunity out of it. Please, let's take this scripture to heart. It's found in Malachi 2, verse 16. And I read the Amplified Version. It says, for the Lord, the God of Israel, says, this is what the Lord, God of Israel, says, I hate divorce and marital separation, and him who covers his garment, and the Amplified put in parentheses, his wife, who covers his garment, his wife, with violence. So God says he hates those three things. Divorce. God says he hates divorce, marital separation, and violence in the home, violence to our spouses. Therefore, keep a watch upon your spirit, that it may be controlled by my spirit. Don't forget, it is God speaking. That you deal not treacherously and faithlessly with your marriage mate. So this can go for the husband, this can go for the wife. So let's take that to heart. One of the assignments that the married couples said I should give to all of us that are online, where you are now, you can put right there if next time you address issues like this. And I think one of it came up and Pastor Tokwe picked on it. That is finance in marriage. How do we deal with it? How do we handle it? How do we handle money issues? So if there are similar problems that you want the couples ministry to focus on, please take out time, just scribble either here or on the number that was provided and say, look, next time I think we can also look at this. We want that to come. In fact, if you can do it right away now, keep those areas coming. We'll collate them and then be able to reach back to you. We just want you to be participatory in where, as a church, we are taking you along to. All right. Praise the Lord, praise the Lord, praise the Lord. I'm excited. Don't forget, Pastor Tokwe Uju will be with us at our worship service at 10 o'clock, 10 a.m. tomorrow. Make out time. In fact, tell your friends what happened today. That is a precursor to what is going to happen tomorrow. Come ready, come invite your friends across the world, give them the links. And of course, some of us will be in the sanctuary. But please make our time to be part of this tomorrow. And God bless you as you do that. All right. So on that note, again, a very big thank you. Let's bring this meeting to a close. I want to believe my sister Yemi, that's all. I can bring this meeting to a close at this point, right?
Yes, that's all, sir. That's all, sir.
Father, in the name of Jesus, we just want to thank you for your servants that you so used mightily in our midst today. Thank you for the lives of your servants, Pastor Ben Oshibodu, Pastor Tokwe Uju, and thank you for the awesome time in your presence. Thank you for the far-reaching impact this is going to have on our homes, not just in House of Glory, but as many people as are tagging along with us today. The impact of this will reverberate across the globe to the glory of your name. You hate divorce, you hate separation, you hate violence in the home. And here we are before you today, learning how we can communicate one with another a lot better. Thank you, Father. Thank you. We give you praise and glory. Bless your children. Bless your servants that you use today. And for as many family units that are online, distressed in one form or the other, the Lord our God will arise to help you. Wisdom to know what next to do will be your portion. The grace of God will be sufficient for you. That distress, you've already been muting, divorce, and separation of some sort. The Lord will quench the fire and cause love to be shut in that home again to the glory of his name. In Jesus' mighty name we have prayed. Amen. Amen. Praise the Lord. So surely goodness and mercy shall follow us all the days of our lives, and we shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever and ever. Amen. Praise the Lord. See you tomorrow.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
All right.
Right.
I don't wanna sing the latest song. I don't wanna percolate the crowd. I just wanna make